What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another super exciting episode of Fix My List.
That's right. We're back!
We're back. We're back and we're fixing the list. And you know what? We're fixing Chaos List, the best list in all of Warhammer.
You know, the lists were running around. They thought they were safe. They thought they could be bad, and we wouldn't notice. They thought we weren't watching, but we were watching.
We're always watching.
We're always watching, and today we strike.
Today we're striking so hard that we're going to fix 3 different Chaos lists. 2 of them are going to be Chaos Demons, 1 of them is going to be Chaos Space Marines, and every week we do this. We rotate through the different factions. Today is Chaos Week because that's the best, but next week will be Space Marines, Imperium. We'll go through it all.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to fix every one of them lists. Feels good to be back in the studio. Feels good to be fixing them lists again. Right back to business as usual.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in getting your list fixed, you can check out our Discord server, which you can get access to by becoming a War Room member of some capacity. There's a link for that in the description below, thewarroom.vhx.tv. You'll get access to all of our wonderful, wonderful content, a 3-day free trial of it all, and you can post in this Discord server where you have some of the best players in the world to talk to, an amazing community, and if you submit your list to the Fix My List channel, the Jack Gods will come down and decide if your list shall be fixed.
You have been saved.
Exactly.
From having an unfixed list.
But you know what? We're here because...
Yeah, I was going to make you pronounce this.
Rulgstut Army Carney. Yeah. Rulgstut Army Carney has...
Can you say that 3 times fast?
Rulgstut Army Carney? No. He's got a Chaos Demon list, and it's awesome, and we're going to fix it and make it even more awesome, because that's what we do on this channel.
That is what we do. So let me see if he has any suggestions here, or if he has any notes, because people oftentimes put notes about what direction they're trying to go in, which is very helpful for us. For example, the 2 demon lists, I think, are trying to go in slightly different directions, and so we're going to help them go in each of those directions. So... RLG's Stud Army Carney says, not sure on Blue Horrors and the Changeling, but the rest feels fairly solid. I worry about damage output, trying to avoid more greater demons, maybe more battle line for screens, and model regeneration.
Awesome. So I think we have, let's just go through it.
Yep.
We've got Bellicor, a Lord of Change with the Everstave, the Changeling, 3x3 Nurglings, 2x10 Blue Horrors, 2x10 Pink Horrors, 2 Burning Chariots, and 2 Soul Grinders. This guy likes the rule of 2.
He does. The rule of 2 is great. If 1's good, 2's better.
That's true. And it's nice because you're not all in as 3 of. But sometimes with demons, there are times you want to just go 3 of, because what I find demons do best is they are really good at putting units in specific locations. Their data sheets, though, and their strats are a little lackluster. So you really just want to take the best data sheets you have access to, put them in the spots, the best places they can go, and let them be themselves.
Yes. Their data sheets they're all right. They're not bad.
Just kind of costly.
They're a little costly, and I think he hit it right on the nose. The damage output of demons usually is a problem.
Right. One of the nice things, though, is that this list is pretty Tzeentch heavy, and Tzeentch actually is the best shooting god in all of Chaos Demons. So that actually helps shore up the damage issue, because you can do things like crack transports without having to commit a bloodthirster to go do it.
Yes. Yes. And he's trying to limit the amount of greater demons. I think Bellicor is interesting. What do you think about Bellicor?
I hate Bellicor. I've always hated Bellicor this entire edition. I've tried him. He still makes my list. Let's not kid around. He kind of turns your army faction rule on, allows you to bring shadows into the midfield pretty effectively and deep strike well. He also keeps you from getting alpha strike, which is an enormous failure point for the demon army, going second versus some scary shooting. He basically allows you to deploy on the line and not get tabled if you go second. But with all that said, he is a little limp in both defense and offense.
He dies a little too quickly, especially compared to how durable he was in 9th.
Yeah.
For parts of 9th anyway.
Well, it's also, when you compare 350 to any of the other greater demons, he's just weaker and more expensive.
Like 285 for a Lord of Change with the Everstave is a really actually quite efficient stat line.
Yeah.
But 350 for Bellicor, who hits slightly harder in combat and significantly less harder in shooting. I'm not that impressed, but he does keep you from being shot, and he does let you deep strike stuff. Do you have to be wholly within 6?
You do have to be wholly within 6 of Bellicor to make use of his or of Shadows, which is really anti-synergistic with these Soul Grinders who have just over 6-inch size
It's like
bases.
6.3. In 9th edition, when Demons came out, I was messing around with Bellicor and Triple Soul Grinder as like a I kind of like dance around the fringes of the board, and then Bellicor jumps in, deposits 3 Soul Grinders 6 inches away, and they just like scatter and start hitting your opponent and like tank and tying them up. And that was super cool right until I measured the Soul Grinder base. And it was 6.3 inches. And I was like, that plan is dead.
Yeah. That said, I actually do really love Soul Grinders. I think stats per point and damage and all that, they are phenomenal. With the Lord of Change, they go up to like strength 12 on those big shots and strength 10 on the Harvester shots, and it really just actually hurts. And then on top of that, they're very durable, and they give you legitimate combat and amazing tank shock thing. They don't give up Assassinate, which frees up your character a little bit so you can actually take those. I think I'm more open to cutting Be'lakor and getting more Soul Grinder in here.
Okay, so that would free us up a decent amount of points. Are you not worried about getting shot on turn 1, or do you think... I think a lot of terrain formats can protect you against being alpha struck on turn 1. And a decent amount of armies aren't actually running long-range guns at this point.
Right. What I found with demons is a little bit of a double-edged sword. You can definitely hide behind terrain. The modern-day terrain formats allow you to do that pretty easily. But it's all about where are you actually hiding, because you're not infantry like at all with your monsters and vehicles. So you have to move around the terrain in a very painful, slow manner.
Speaking of which...
Yes.
Soul Grinders. So if you're playing on WTC, there's a very strong possibility that where you deep strike a Soul Grinder is where it stays.
So what I found with Soul Grinders to kind of circumnavigate their movement limitation with their enormous base is you just get onto an objective and you're OC5, and anything that goes around
They're
there...
what?
They're OC5. Anything that goes near there is probably going to die. And
Incredible.
That's all they do. Don't try to move people. Don't try to chase people with your Soul Grinders. Give them the long range gun for being Zinch, and then just put them on an objective with OC5 and hit people really hard. Don't be afraid to tank shock, that kind of stuff.
Damn, this stat line is crazy.
The only thing bad about the Soul Grinder is the base size, and it's pretty horrible, but everything else is actually amazing.
Damn.
It's 5 attacks, strength 16. It's got D6 plus 2 all over the place.
Do you take the extra attacks off Warp Claw or Warp Sword?
Yeah, you get one or the other. I prefer the Warp Claw just so he doesn't get tied up by people. It'll bump him up to 11 attacks total.
Squad.
He hits, Jack. I'm telling you. 3 of these things, I've been experimenting with them. They've been money. Honestly, though, with demons, what I find is you do end up going into that midfield and boxing over objectives with your big monsters. And what happens when you're in midfield is you're close enough to your opponent that Be'lakor's aura stops applying.
18-inch no shoot is just significantly different than 12-inch no shoot. If you haven't played with both of them, at the start of the edition, I personally thought that the 18-inch no shoot was just like a slightly worse version of the 12-inch no shoot. Mm-hmm. But 18-inch is like ineffective, and 12-inch is very effective.
It's good for keeping you safe going second turn 1. I think you just kind of take that lump and don't pay the Be'lakor tax to get around that. Be'lakor is great for deep striking, but this army is not actually that interested in deep striking. The horrors and pink heart, blue horrors and pink hearts just kind of waddle towards objectives. The burning chariots move around and shoot. Soul Grinders literally don't benefit from Be'lakor because they're too large. So it's actually not really trying to do Be'lakor things like deliver a Shalaxi into your opponent or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, and Shalaxi is quite good, but probably not where this is going.
It's also Be'lakor, Shalaxi are 2 models together 800 points, and I've not found that to be worth 800.
I was like, surely he's exaggerating. No, they're exactly 800.
They're on the nose.
On the nose.
So
that's a lot.
I much prefer 2 Soul Grinders, a unit of Nurglings, 15 points left to just Shalaxi. Yeah. So
yeah. The only downside is that Soul Grinders don't fit in Be'lakor. So they're not like anti-synergistic. They're just not.
They're not trying to be synergistic. Yeah. I do think that we have 150 points left.
We do. We actually have 160 because there was 10 floating.
Beautiful. So there's a few ways we could work with it. I love that we have pink horrors and blue horrors. I don't think you need 2 blue horrors. The first squad is a nice infiltrator, get shadows going in midfield, start contesting objectives with some OC. But beyond that, they are leadership 8. It's very easy to cause some battle shocks upon them. They don't have any offense. And when you have 3 units of Nurglings and 2 units of blue hearts, 2 units of pink hearts, you end up you're leaning into your damage problem by taking like 600 points that doesn't do damage.
I think if I tell you how many points we have left, I know what you're going to do with it.
What do you think I'm going to do with it?
We have 285.
Well, I wasn't actually going to say what I think you were thinking, but now we're here.
What is 285 right now? We've already got the Lord of Change with the Everstave. What could possibly be 285?
Well, there's a few options. You could just toss in a Fate Weaver. He's 285.
Just throw a Fate Weaver in there.
He would synergize nicely because he lets you get strats refunds. He fits the Tzeentch theme, and he's another indirect fire piece that shoots fairly hard. Standing next to your Lord Change, he goes up to strength 10. He would fit quite nicely.
We do, so full disclosure, the third list that we're going to cover is a Tzeentch shooting list.
I see.
A Tzeentch demon shooting list.
Well, in that case, Jack, I will actually go with some other options for us. We have Great Unclean one at 280 with...
But that option, by the way, is good. You can put that in, and this list would be quite good. Just trying to explore options here.
Definitely. One of the things with demons is because the stats are all just kind of uniquely good at a very specific job, and then it's all about getting them in places. It's hard to... A lot of demons are finishing lists as side grading between units.
Yeah.
So we have the Fate Weaver at 285. We've got the Great Unclean one with the 4 up Fiendly Pain enhancement for 280. And
I do like that guy.
I've been loving that guy. He's been my favorite monster to play with.
What about what did Demon Prince with the 4 of Fiendly Pain do? What does he do?
He doesn't do much. He can once per game get extra attacks, and then he can hit people fairly hard, and he's tough to kill at that point. I don't prefer him because I think he's in the 200s, and I'd rather just bring 80 more points.
I was talking about the Foot Demon Prince because I know Tim Penny really liked him for a bit, and I'm wondering if maybe it synergizes here.
He gives you army stealth.
I don't think it does, but it is an interesting option.
I know in a more grindy stylist, you can try to lean into the durability of the demons, and giving your army stealth definitely helps. I just don't think that that's the best thing we can do.
Probably not. I mean, you're already really durable, right? You have triple Soul Grinder that are tough, Tonka tough even.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? We already have a bunch of tough, not mobile, let's call them, units. Now we could lean into that and take the Great Unclean one with the 4 of Fiendly Pain, which isn't a bad idea, or we can try to compensate for it.
So I think there's really 3 different options I'm thinking of. One is the Great Unclean one, which is super tough and just goes on an objective and lets you just add more durable stats to your army. You have the pink hearts to be infantry, and the rest of it kind of explains itself. The other option is Fate Weaver, who I don't think really makes the cut here. I think he's the worst of the 3 options, as much as I love him. And then the last one is kind of more of a Nick experiment, I will admit.
Okay.
But we can
cook here,
we can cook. I've been really, really, really liking Flux Masters. They're 60 points. They're the Herald of Tzeentch on a disc equivalent. Basically, the thing that I like about them is they join a unit and give it -1 to hit, so I like to put 1 with each of my horror units, and then they are way more durable. It's shooting
-1 to hit?
-1 to hit.
That is quite good on pinks.
Additionally, it'll make their shooting actually relevant. Really, it's just his shooting actually relevant. But he shoots 3 shots, strength 6, AP 2, D3 damage, dev wounds, and then every I think it's turn or battle round, but every time you're shooting with this guy is the idea. You're gonna flip a die to a 6, so you're gonna basically have 3 shots, probably 2 hits. And then you might roll 6 naturally to wound, just do some dev wounds. You might wound with 1 of them and naturally get some damage through if they fail save. But you're always going to flip 1 to a 6 and just do D3 dev wounds.
So I just did some math while you were talking in my head. And unless my math teacher has deeply failed me, I think we have exactly enough points to add 3 Flux Masters, drop a Nurgling squad, and add a Pink Horror squad.
Ooh, I kind of like that. I hope your math teacher hasn't failed you, because that's spicy.
That would be sad if
and then you don't. The other thing is I don't typically include those into my demon list.
Exactly enough.
Exactly enough. Well, if it builds itself, it builds itself. I don't really include Flux Masters in my demon armies often because they really just give up Assassinate automatically. But I love that we're leaning into Soul Grinders and away from monsters, because now we actually have some characters we can afford to take and not necessarily auto give up Assassinate, get to play Denial a little bit.
Yeah, we have 5 characters in demons. One of them is the Changeling. One of them's the Lord of Change. Like, they're not getting to these with reliability. Even the ones in the pink horror units, they're pink horrors with -1 to hit. And the reason -1 to hit is so important on them is because they either kill all 10 or they don't.
Yeah.
So if you can add an effect that takes them from killing 12 to killing 8 Suddenly you get splits, and then their second attack doesn't kill.
And what I found with pink cars a lot is most armies don't have the ability to just one-shot 10 pink cars, and then with -1 to hit, it's even harder, like you were saying. But what happens is they get into grindy, protracted just attacks versus stuff, and it takes like a lot of time for the pink cars to go down.
Meanwhile, you're OC2, you're on the objective.
Anything you can do to elongate that goes a really long way. And now we have more diversified shooting. So like the Changeling has a credible gun, Lord of Change is really good. All three Soul Grinders are legitimately good shooting units. I've been so impressed with them. The Burning Chariot's going up to strength 10, strength 11, AP 3 damage, really nice. Also you have those flamers for cheeky Overwatch plays. And now we're doing dev wounds to really shore up the weaknesses.
Yeah, I like this. It also plays the mission very well. It plays primary really well with big squads of pink horrors that your opponent can't. It's tough to interact with for sure.
Yeah.
And you also have soul grinders to shore up any weaknesses. You probably want to start one on the only path you can get up the board and reserve two.
I usually deep strike two, and then one thing you can also do with this army is you can use rapid ingress really effectively on your opponent. If you can get Shadows of Chaos stuck in midfield at the start of your opponent's movement phase, which really just means you hold 2 out of the 3 objectives in midfield at the end of your turn, which is like send some horrors up to go die, send a Burning Chariot out to go die. You hold the objectives, you have Shadows up in your opponent's movement phase. It doesn't end until your opponent contests those objectives, and a new phase starts like the shooting phase. So even if your opponent moves up to reclaim those objectives, Shadows is still up. Then you rapid ingress a Soul Grinder in 6 inches away from your opponent. It's basically like you had Be'lakor without actually having Be'lakor.
You also can oftentimes get a soul grinder on an objective, get yourself extra primary, and then walk up, shoot, and punch something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this army is awesome. There's not much I would look to change. The only thing I would consider actually is some Seeker Chariots, which are another sneaky tech choice I've really been enjoying lately. They're just really great at 75 points, 6 wounds, 4 up invul, 7 wounds I think, 4 up invul, T6, and they have some amount of attacks, but they move 14. They have an assault and a pistol gun, so they can advance and shoot, advance in action, and they can do it in close combat. So they're just really good at scoring and screening and doing that kind of stuff.
So here's the question. How important are these Burning Chariots? What do Burning Chariots do?
Burning Chariots are another gun profile. They are similar to the Seeker Chariot. They're toughness 8, they're 8 wounds, they're 4 up invul. They have a pretty decent gun. I've been pretty impressed with them. And when they hit a target, they give your army ignores cover, which is functionally +1 AP.
That is pretty good.
They're pretty good. I don't really want to mess with that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we might be able to drop some of those for some Seeker Chariots. But no.
No.
We could drop 1 for a Seeker Chariot and some Nurglings, which I don't actually think is better.
I don't really think that's better either. It's something to me like cut the 3rd pink car unit that we just put in, find 10 points by maybe taking Changeling and putting him into Blue Scribes or something like that, and then you get 2 Chariots that way, which makes a Fluxmaster go solo. I don't like that more. But I do think that one of the tools this army is missing is have like turn 1 you go tactical, you draw cleanse. Who's going to go do cleanse?
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Nurglings can do that, but something like...
Nurglings have to hold the objective, so if
that's
someone
true.
else has to be there,
cleanse is a real problem.
The demons have some awkward issues with early secondary scoring for like things that should be easy because you just throw a cheap throwaway unit on there. You're like missing a cheap throwaway unit that actually has OC.
Yeah, Grey Knights had that problem too, where like turn 1 I draw some cards that I should be able to do. It's like, oh my god, this is annoying.
So I usually like to include like 3-man flamers, 5 fleshhounds, and lately the Seeker Chariots, especially because they're not bring it down targets. They're not vehicles. To just get that job done, even 1 I think would be really helpful.
Is there a good 60-point unit?
Blue Scribes is 65.
I was thinking chopping the blue horrors into 2 random units.
Right. I could see cutting the blue horrors and 1 Nurgling, and that's just 2 Chariots. I could really see that. I like Nurglings. I'm not super excited about killing them, but I also like blue horrors. Let's just leave it. This is a good army.
Let's leave it. I like this army actually. I think this is a good teams army too, because it's so hard to like actually kill this in time to deny points.
Yeah.
You have to go through triple soul grinder deep striking 3 inches away from you on objectives.
That's another one. I love 3-inch away soul grinders. It really fixes their 6-inch base deep striking problem. And then they don't charge, but your opponent has to deal with it.
and 3 Flux Masters plus 3 Pink Horror units is legitimately just like 20 primary points your opponent can't stop on top of your score.
You put 1 on your home field if you want. You put 1 on your expansion objective, and the rest are just there contesting objectives and being annoying and stuff. And you really actually got a great primary game.
Yeah. Like if your opponent would pressure you and give you like a 15, with those 3 units, you're going to get like a 35.
You'd be shocked how much hidden damage this army can do also. It's not like I'm going to table you, but it's like you put a Rhino out there, it's just gone. No questions asked.
Sweet.
Which I really like.
Love that. Well, we'll get to more of that in the other demon list we're going to go through.
Awesome.
So now we've got Rent-A-Patriots CSM list. So this, let's pull that up. Not entirely, here we go. Not entirely sure about going mechanized, but here's an Emperor's Children warband I've cooked up. So it looks like he wants to go Emperor's Children. So keeping the Slanesh thing.
Where's Lucius? We got to put Lucius in here.
That is a bit of a problem for sure. He's got Fabius Bile, no Lucius. Lucius is good, right?
He is good. He is good. One of the biggest things about Lucius is that he's good. Yeah. So Rent-A-Patriot, thank you so much for submitting your Discord list. We are here to fix it. And for those of you watching at home, maybe subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep fixing these lists for them. So let's take it from the top. We got Mr. Fabius Bile, Terminator Chaos Lord with Chain Fist, Slaanesh Combi Weapon, a Dark Commune, 2 Exalted Champions, a Master of Executions, a 20-man Cultist unit, 2x10 Legionnaires with various upgrades, 5 Terminators, 5 Chosen, 2x5 Noise Marines, 1, 2, 3 Rhinos, a Land Raider, and a Predator Destructor.
Okay, what does the Master of Executions do in CSM? Because I know what he does in World Eaters, but what does he do in CSM?
The Master of Executions in CSM is pretty interesting. He joins a unit, and then basically if they attack a unit that has taken damage at all, then the unit gets reroll hits. And with Slaanesh in close combat. And Slaanesh's God ability, if you Dark Pact, is going to be sustained 5s. So reroll hits sustained 5s is quite nice.
Okay.
And then if you're attacking units below half strength, which rarely happens but can happen, you get reroll wounds as well.
It rarely happens where it matters that you get reroll wounds,
Right.
but I guess, right? Like a 10-man squad with a character down to 5, like a 10-man Terminator squad with a character down to 5 models, is still pretty tough nut to crack.
Or like if you're shooting your army into a very tough target like a Norn, then you shoot it to half dead or just below half dead, now you can wail on it pretty well.
Yeah, it will come up. I've definitely had the 8-bound ability to reroll wounds when you're within targeting unit under half. It comes up occasionally. But the reroll hits is super good.
This army looks to me like it's trying to be very mechanized, and I think Rent-A-Patriot mentioned that. We've got 2 units of 10 Legionnaires, they're probably hanging out in 2 of the Rhinos, 2 units of 5 Noise Marines, probably hanging out in another Rhino. Then we've got 5 Terminators with the Terminator Lord probably going in the Land Raider, maybe ingressing, and 5 Chosen, either going in one of the Rhinos instead of 5 dudes, or going in the Land Raider instead of the Terminators, who will use ingress. So a lot of different flexibility there.
What do the Exalted Champions do?
Not much. They are probably one of the weaker character options you can take. They're not that hard hitting relative to all of your other character options, and they only give you +1 to hit in close combat, which isn't bad, but it's not really. You'd rather get the value of like a Master of Executions who's reroll hits and actually a damage dealing character.
So it seems like the Exalted Champions are supposed to go in these Legionary squads. I didn't go through all of the War Gear options because there were quite a few. Discord wants to move my spot around, but yeah, there's quite a few options in the Legionary squad, and he took all of them, as you should.
I'm also seeing a Dark Commune who I think is going to join these 20 cultists, which is something I've definitely considered. For 165 points, you do get 25 models with a 5+ invulnerable save, but you're really missing out on some of the value of +1 to hit, +1 wound advance and charge that the Dark Commune loves to give the Accursed Cultist pack instead. And regular cultists are only OC1, whereas Accursed are OC2.
Yeah, I really?
Yeah.
Weird. I suppose if you get possessed by demons, then the demons count and you count.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that you think it should be a 16-man Accursed Cultist unit?
I think there's a lot of different things going on. We kind of try to figure out which direction we're going to take this list all together. But yeah, if we're going to take a Dark Commune and a big Cultist brick, let's just turn that into Accursed Cultist for sure.
My first instinct here with this list is, correct me if I'm wrong, too many characters.
Too many characters was one of my first thoughts.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'm thinking. Exalted Champions I thought would do something really cool, but +1 to hit, I'm edging towards the delete button right now.
Yeah, I think you press it. Gone. I think there's a lot of interesting things in Slaanesh that has to offer, like the intoxicating elixir, gives Feel No Pain and the ability to cause some battle shocks to things. I've had a lot of success with that on a Demon Prince. I also like the idea of that going on a Terminator Chaos Lord, just being super tough to kill because they're already minus damage. I'll entertain that a little while longer, but what I really want to focus on is the rhinos with the dudes inside. I think one of the best things Emperor's Children can do is make use of the fact that Legionnaires are good and Noise Marines are good, and they complement each other.
Why do they complement each other?
Noise Marines are a great data sheet for 85 points. They shoot pretty hard. They cause a battle shot test when they shoot you. They can punch pretty well with Sustain 5s and the Power Fist dude, and they have a Flamer. The thing that they don't do really well is they're only OC1, and Legionnaires are nice because they're OC2, and they give a little bit more combat to complement the Noise Marines who lean a little bit better into shooting. I really like the idea of taking Lucius in this army because it is Emperor's Children. That'll unlock Noise Marines to be battle line, which means you can take even more than 3 of them if you wanted to. Lucius can join a unit, give it always strikes first, which is super powerful. And then I really like rhinos with like 5 Legionnaires, 5 Noise Marines, or 5 Legionnaires, 5 Chosen, stuff like that going really well.
Do you get a heavy weapon per 5 in the Legionnaires?
You can, yeah.
So you can shoot out the top with the Blastmaster and like the chain cannon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can really good.
I mean, you probably want to mark your rhinos not Slaanesh, but I get it if you're going for Emperor's Children. The reason you want to do that is you want to go like Nurgle. Well, Nurgle's the best one. And the reason you want Nurgle is so that you can't be shot outside 12, which protects your units. And when you shoot out of the top of the rhino,
You get Sustain 5s.
You get Sustain 5s.
Right.
But if you are hard committed to only playing with Slaanesh marks, the Chaos Rhinos don't get anything off that.
Right, you'll get Sustain 5s in combat, which is like super irrelevant. It's entirely up to you. From a competitive standpoint, you would 100% want to make those Rhinos Nurgle, but there's dealer's choice here.
Yes.
We'll leave them as Slaanesh, just with the caveat that they would be better as Nurgle.
They would be significantly better as Nurgle. You don't even have to tell. You don't even have to say. You can just be like, you can paint him Slaaneshi.
That's true.
And just in their heart of hearts, they're Slaaneshi, but rules-wise, they can be Nurgle.
So one of my favorite things about an Emperor's Children army is that they can really just do MSU transports super, super well, because you really don't run out of good units to put in transports between Legionnaires, Chosen, and Noise Marines. And the thing that I think maybe doesn't fit as well is the Land Raider and the Terminators and the Terminator Lord with that, because it's a lot of points. You're not Nurgle, so the Land Raider could theoretically just get blown up. It's not making use of Sustained 5s on those last cannon shots. It really isn't making use of Marcus Slaanesh at all. And the burst of speed the Terminators get from advancing charge, they're just not that hard hitting. It's kind of a little wasted.
They also don't get it out of the Land Raider.
They would.
Because the Land Raider moves up, deposits them. They don't get to move, then you charge.
It's not the most synergistic piece there. So I would actually cut the entire Terminator Lord, Terminator, Land Raider package and go deeper on the Rhino train.
It is very expensive, and something we're going to get, or something we basically already said, is that Slaanesh is just a very bad mark for vehicles. It is.
It's a combat mark.
It's a combat mark. It basically doesn't do anything for vehicles.
Right.
Whereas Nurgle, Undivided, those two are incredible on vehicles.
Now you say that, Jack, but I do like me a Slaanesh Mauler Fiend.
Mauler, sure.
Advance and charge, then sustain 5s. That thing smacks.
I meant vehicles that don't have combat,
Yeah,
you dingus. Yeah. All right.
But in that line of thinking, I think we can also get rid of this poor Predator. I love Predators. They have a warm spot in my heart, but a Slaanesh Predator is just not that good.
If you're committed to every model in your army having the Slaanesh mark, rules-wise and flavor-wise, you do not want to take more than Rhinos.
Definitely. So this gives us a ton of points back. I think the Legionnaires realistically want to just be 5 minions, and we really want to lean to MSU, which stands for multiple small units, running around the table, being really good at objective play, being really good at missions and scoring and damage dealing.
If you want to learn more about MSU and the archetype of MSU, in the War Room, I have a Jack 3 video where I go through the MSU archetype, why it's strong, what it looks like in different armies, and how you can play it.
Awesome. Yeah, we don't just teach about factions and do coaching matches. We also teach you about 40k as a holistic game on a strategic level. Jack does a weekly show on it called The Jack Theory. Talks about all kinds of stuff in there. People love it. So if you're interested in maybe thinking about this, check out that 3-day free trial in the link below. It's free.
All right, so we have 800 points. If we cut the Legionaries down to, I put in 3 5-mans.
Yeah, 3 5 minutes is a good number. So I kind of want to explore what it looks like if we really just go hog wild on transports and dudes inside. What if we do something like 3 units of Chosen, and Chosen do love to be attached to Chaos Lords. That's a package.
They love that.
And
they love that more than anything else. They
that
love
makes-
Undivided Lords, but, you know.
it also means you can hit super duper hard with your Chosen and your Lords, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds. Well, I guess you're not if you're Slanesh. That's a fair point.
Yeah. The Lord Chosen package definitely wants to be Undivided.
Yeah, it's not as good. I still think it's worth running, though, even if we're going to make it Slanesh.
The Lord package as well?
Lord package, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a guess here. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to, if we go, are we going hog wild, or was that all talk?
I mean, what are you thinking?
I was thinking 3 squads of Legionnaires, 3 squads of Chosen, 6 squads of Noise Marines, 6 Rhinos.
Okay, we are on the same page. we're thinking the same thing, Jack. I love it. You could go and swap it around and go 6 squads of Legionnaires and 3 squads of Noise Marines. That'll give you more OC, more combat, less firepower. But I think the shooting is kind of nice.
If your opponent asks you why you took Lucius, I want a good answer.
I want a good answer, right? If you're gonna play Emperor's Children, like let's play some Emperor's Children.
This is 1 million units.
That's the idea. That's very much what I'm going for with this unit.
All right,
thing.
I'm gonna delete Slanesh off of this. I mean, it's going to be Slanesh. It's just I need some space, please.
It'll imply that these would be better as Nurgle.
They truly would just, like, the army would ascend like an entire tier of power level if these all became Nurgle.
I don't know that'd be that great, but it would definitely elevate your shooting quite a lot, and it would allow you some trickery with using the Nurgle strat to make Rhinos unshootable, which is a playmaker in and of itself.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the Rhinos not being shot and then all getting sustained 5s on the million chain cannons.
I'm just thinking with 6 Rhinos, 1 not being shot is not the same as with 2 or 3 Rhinos, 1 not being shot, because you're not really hiding 6.
It's kind of like, in my mind, it's kind of like Phantasm, where your opponent commits their units in a certain way, and then you get to protect the most valuable Rhino.
Right. It's hard to commit to that.
It's hard to, like, it's easy to shoot a Rhino. It's hard to shoot the Rhino you need to shoot after you've already moved your army.
Yeah. So where are we at points-wise after we do all of this?
Quite a few, I'm imagining.
And just so we're, I'll go ahead and say all the upgrades allowed, just so we're all on the same page about what people are getting. The Legionnaires should have 2 heavy melee weapons, plasma pistol on the Sergeant, and a Reaper chain cannon. The Baleful Tome is entirely optional. And then the 6 units of Noise Marines will each have a Blastmaster, all Sonic Blasters, and a Doom Siren on that Sergeant with the Power Fist.
What's the downside to having the Baleful Tome?
You lose the Chainsword on the guy, and I'm telling you the Baleful Tome is so bad that that's a conversation. So 3 units of 5 Chosen, they're going to have a Power Fist, and then the Twin Lightning Claw guy, 20 Cursed Weapons, and 3 Cursed Weapon guys with a myriad of Plasma Pistols.
Okay, where we're at right now with everything on the screen is 1985.
Well, that's pretty good. So
It's pretty good, especially considering we were looking at some things.
we're looking at a few more things. I think we definitely want a 10-man cultist to just sit in our backfield and mind its own business.
It would be nice if it were Nurgle, but that's how life is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Emperor's Children.
Yeah, that's Emperor's Children. You get this, which is quite good.
That's great. So now we have our backfield covered, and we have midfield skirmish literally all over the place. The thing that we're not doing super well is we're not killing the hardest targets well effectively. We need to increase our damage. So I think to do that, we probably want to drop the Dark Commune and start adding some hard-hitting characters. Same with Fabius Bile, he can go too.
What does Fabius build do?
It makes the unit slightly tankier by giving it a blank of save ability, and then he himself is pretty tough. He comes back to life. His combat is AP 1, damage 3 with 5 attacks, so like good into not 2-up armor save people. And then he gives his unit +1 strength and toughness, which takes Chosen up to strength 6, which is a nice break point.
Okay, so with what we have on the screen, we have 210 points remaining. Do we need this Master of Executions, considering he's no longer going into 10-man?
So there's a couple interesting synergy pieces, and I want to talk about options. The Lord not being able to go undivided full rerolls because we're married to Slanesh in this build does severely limit what he can do.
Especially since Chosen can advance and charge already.
Right. Now, alternatively, the Master of Executions joined to Chosen gives them reroll hits, which will stack nicely with sustained 5s, whereas the Lord wouldn't. He's a little bit less hard hitting himself. He's 2 damage with the Lord. Really, the difference is that the Lord is 3 damage.
On the turn that matters.
On the turn that matters. And then the Master of Executions is dev wounds and precision, and like he's better versus characters. That is something.
So the Chosen with the Master of Executions would probably just have to run up, throw a grenade, shoot their guns, make sure that the unit is below starting, and then go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to do things like that, like throw a grenade to make sure your opponent's below starting, and then get in there.
Yeah, so I actually am very open to running Masters of Executions instead of Lords if we're going to stick with the Slanesh theme. It's a little bit pricier to do it this way. We're going to be slightly over in points, but I think that's very easy to solve if we put our minds to it.
So what are the options to join these Chosen? Because I agree that the Chosen are the thing that want to be joined. It's Master of Execution. What are Master of Possessions joins?
That can join Chosen. It doesn't do much. It makes them slightly faster.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorcerer doesn't do anything, I'm assuming.
And gives him 6 up heal pain. The Sorcerer gives -1 to hit. None of this stuff is going to be super inspiring.
Yeah, I like the Master of Executions for that reroll hits.
The other thing we could do, Jack, is we can cut into our unit count a fair bit. Maybe cut a Rhino and 10 dudes in terms of package size. So we go to 5 Rhinos, 50 dudes instead of 6 and 60. And this would give us, with the remaining points we have, I'm pretty sure enough to do like 3 Master of Executions, 3 Chaos Lords, or something close to that.
Something I would be considering over the 3 Chaos Lords there, because I like Master of Executions in the Chosen, or the Chaos Lords in any of this feels a little...
Well, I would actually consider the Master of if we're going to do Lords and Master of Executions, I'd put the Masters with the Legionnaires, so then they get reroll hits and reroll wounds, and 3 models actually do considerable damage in those units. And then I'd put the Lords with the Chosen to do a slightly worse version of the Undivided thing.
So something I was thinking is, you mentioned the Demon Prince with wings. Mm-hmm. I think he's quite good here.
I think he could be good here. Yeah, absolutely. The Demon Prince with wings is a really scalpel-y style tool. He flies 14, 1 CP advance and charge, so that's pretty fast, or fall back and charge. He's very durable, 2 up armor, 4 up invul, 5 up healing pain from the intoxicating elixir. He hits pretty hard, he causes battle shocks over the place. One of the things this army is going to struggle with is the total lack of fly, so you're going to you're going to be move blocked, and you're going to have trouble getting into your opponent's backfield, because you have to drive forward and hit them with your swords. So having a DM Prince literally skipping and jumping over the enemy lines could be really good for that.
Yeah, you can also rapid ingress it and then advance it like straight into your opponent's undefended back line or something like that. Get in. When he hits, he does a bunch of mortal wounds.
He does charge mortals too.
He does like a very good charge mortals.
You roll 1 dice for every wound he has remaining. He starts with 9. And
He starts with 10.
He starts with 10. Oh, even better.
He's doubles 9.
Every 4 up is a mortal, so you're averaging 5 right off the charge.
And then he gets to hit you.
I think that's a great little scalpel thing we could put in. We could even cut like an entire Rhino package of something here.
Sure. Let's see how many points we have left if I add this boy in, because I actually quite like him.
He's been pretty good. He synergizes very nicely with Selesky from Demons, because then you have kind of 2 backfield skirmish attackers, and then that gives you a lot of backfield pressure in a real deep strike screen your opponent has to consider.
How many points is Selesky?
120.
Because this on screen plus the Demon Prince with Intoxicating Elixir is 2k on the nose.
It's 2k on the nose.
So if we cut 1 Rhino package, we end up with quite a few points.
Yeah, I was thinking we cut the Rhino package, get the 3 Master of Executions, or like 2 of them in Selesky and the Demon Prince.
2 in Lucius.
2, maybe.
Because we do have Lucius here.
Lucius joins a unit and hits super hard. I don't think Lucius can join Chosen, so he's kind of
really
joined to Noise Marines or Legionnaires. Yeah, that's one of the things
that's an interesting design choice on their part.
A little lame about Lucius.
He doesn't. He can't choose anyone. He's indecisive.
He's indecisive. Well, he's really here for his Noise Boys, the Noise Marines.
Intoxicating Elixir. Barely even know her. Let me see what he can join. You probably know it, but I'm double checking it. That's weird.
It is weird.
That's super weird.
So I'm kind of open to the idea of making points for Selesky. I quite like that actually. But
so if we cut 1 Rhino, we cut 1 Noise Marines, 1 Legionaries.
I would keep the Legionnaries. I think OC2 is important.
So 1 Rhino, 2 Noise Marines?
Probably that, yeah.
So 1 Rhino, 2 Noise Marines. We do end up with, what's this, 170?
245.
245. How many points is Selesky?
120. So we'd have
so we'd have 125 for a Master of Executions and 45 points.
It was a little awkward.
It is a little awkward. I was kind of hoping to get a little more out of that.
Yeah, no, that's not the nice exchange you want it to be. We could. I quite like Lucy, so I don't really want to cut him.
You
it.
also have 6 units of noise.
Well, it would be quite a redesign. So
Yes.
Let's just skip all that. It's tough because it doesn't fit nicely cutting a package. You don't get like Selesky and stuff.
Yeah.
What you could do, Jack, if you have 245s, you could do Selesky and 10 Ebonets. It would. I've thought about joining her to 10 Ebonets. I've never actually tried it. Gives them all dev wounds on 5s.
Interesting.
They have dev wounds naturally, and then she gives the unit crit 5s. It'll be a lot more ablative wounds for Selesky. It makes her a larger footprint, so it's harder to scalp her in places. Alternatively, you don't actually have to join them together. You could use this as your turn 1 aggressive screen. They move 10 inches.
Yeah. I do like the idea of getting at least one more Master of Executions in this list.
Yeah, you do need to hit a little harder.
Yeah, I get the unit of Selesky plus the Demonettes is an interesting, like, serious threat for a backline.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, that will go in, clear up your home objective, and sit there for the whole game.
Or like if some as a countercharge unit too, you're playing against World Eaters, Angron comes smashing in, here's 10 mortals, Angron, or 10 dev wounds.
10 dev wounds, you charge him with the Demon Prince.
Throw a grenade at him, he's just
dead.
gone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely doable. I like that unit. What's your sense here? How are you feeling?
I kind of think we just put Selesky in 10 Demonettes in over the 6th Rhino and the 20 last 10 Noise Marines.
It also makes the list a little easier to acquire.
Yeah, it's more tools too, which I love. I think there's diminishing to returns to your Rhinos as you start to be unable to hide them, and as you basically you're playing foot Space Marines. So if you play against an army that is good at killing foot Space Marines, maybe they have a lot of strength 6, AP 2 damage 2 as a profile, something like that. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be very painful. So having something that could break that up, create some complication of the board state through deep striking, rapid ingressing, anything like that, I think adds a dimension to your army, which is probably really nice. And it could rapid ingress. It will rapid ingress.
Yeah, I think you deploy the Demon Prince and you rapid ingress these boys.
I found deploying the Demon Prince to be much more worth it just because you really get to make use of the speed. You end up rapid ingressing to a spot your Prince could have just deep struck to, and it takes opportunity cost away because you can't rapid ingress something else. So here you rapid Selesky plus friends, you move the Demon Prince around.
You do need something to threaten to hit backfields. And you need, when they're interacting with your army, you want them to have to be worried about something coming down and hitting them. Because it keeps them from fully committing to killing you, fully committing to doing the things they want to do.
This army kind of strikes me very orc-like, where the Rhinos are like trucks. You stage your army for a turn, then you just unleash the gates at them if you want. Yeah, with between rapid ingress, Prince crashing into the backfield side, and then just dudes everywhere hitting you in all kinds of places. You can 1 CP.
And it's Slanesh. They'll hit you in all kinds of places.
In places you don't want.
Places you do not want. I think if these Rhinos were Nurgle, I would actually be... I think this list is pretty sweet.
I've written lists very similar to this like a gajillion times. I've not tried it on the table more than once or twice, but I've been very happy with it every time
I would love to see you run like a 6 Rhino.
Let's do it.
If you're unconstrained by Emperor's Children, I think 6 Rhinos with Undivided Chosen and Lords in them, and then the Rhinos are Nurgle, and then you fill the rest of it with Undivided Legionaries, or Slanesh Legionaries, which...
I like Slanesh Legionaries.
Slanesh Legionaries, and then a bunch of Noise Marines. I think that's pretty solid. I think it's pretty damn solid.
It's an army I actually very much considered to Worlds. I didn't end up running it in favor for a more traditional build. I wish I had more time to explore it, but with the new upcoming Balanced Data slate, this may not have the longest shelf life. So we'll take that as it will, and we'll get another Chaos Fix my list going.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it after Balanced Data Slate when it addresses Chosen Rhino Lords.
Yeah,
and if they're going to address something, you would think they would address that.
Right. So I've kind of stopped innovating CSM, kind of awaiting this Balanced Data Slate, but we shall see.
Yeah, I'm totally down for an MSU CSM if some amount of that survives the data slate.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rent a Patriot. I hope you enjoy your army list. I think we did some massive improvements on that one. And now we've got another Demon Army list, which, I do love.
I also quite like that the list is optimized for Emperor's Children.
Right? Oh, yeah.
We've tried to put as much stuff that is good with the Slanesh mark as possible, and only Slanesh demons, and I think we've arrived at a list that is quite good.
Yeah, the only thing I think we might be missing that could be worth considering is like Slanesh Warp Talons are really great. I've been fairly unimpressed with them. I think you're better off being in a Rhino as your defense instead of being a little bit faster. And the Prince and Selesky kind of make up that speed difference, but that's a side grade you could look at.
I mean, what I would look at here, honestly, if we're going back at this, is you could drop Lucius and a squad of Noise Marines, because you don't need Lucius at that point,
Yep.
and pick up 2 Masters of Executions.
I do like that, and that would put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters, which is kind of like the limit of acceptable. I could see that if you want to make that change, but I like Lucius also because he's also very good. I don't want to knock Lucius.
No, Lucius slaps.
I like Lucius more than any singular Master of Executions.
All right. Yep. So if you want to go that direction, you can. If you don't, I think this list is quite solid.
Awesome.
All right.
Now we've got Ive Star 2000 with more Chaotic Demons.
That's right. In lieu of T-Sun's balanced data slate updates, I'm keen to explore a demon concept from before. So this is kind of Tzeentch themed, but not beholden to it, going for a more gunline approach. Or going for a more like shooting offense approach with I want to take a demon list with the by interacting with war dogs and brigands and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Involving them in
Involving
the action.
them. Gotcha. So I definitely think we're still on the Soul Grinder train. And I know that we put 3 Soul Grinders in the last list, but they're so effective.
Here's Nick's thought process. And this is how it works for him. And this is not a bad thing. But he discovers a unit. And then that unit goes in all of his lists.
I don't know what you're talking about. So Soul Grinders anyway.
If he can ally it in, he'll take 3 in there. So 2 Soul Grinders going in every CSM list.
I just played a game with Soul Grinders on this very YouTube channel last week. And you know what? I lost that game. But you know what I wanted to do to my list after I played that game?
More Soul Grinders?
Put in 3 Brigands. So I think we're on that train.
Okay, all right. Are we thinking mech demons?
You know, jam those stats, Jack. You love jamming stats.
I do love jamming stats, and I'm here for it. So first off, I want to just
turn that Carnivore into Brigand.
Yeah, we're gonna find the points.
We're here to shoot people, and you know what Brigands love? Ignoring cover from those 3 burning chariots.
They really, really do. Now, unfortunately, that does put us over points, and you are committing us to 600 points.
All right, I want it on the record that Fate Weaver is my favorite model in all of Warhammer.
No.
With that said,
no, surely not.
Just click the button and be done with it, Jack. Don't make me suffer.
You do it.
I will not.
Hit the button, Nick.
Don't make me.
Hit the button. Hit delete. Just put him out of his misery.
This is not your fault, Fate Weaver. This is Games Workshop's fault.
I feel like I made somebody shoot their puppy.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
All right. So, unfortunately, room has to be made, and Kairos Fate Weaver, you are taking up a lot of room.
I love him. He's just not as good as some other options. That doesn't mean I don't love him.
I mean, you did kill him, but it's okay.
I'm saving him from death by opponent.
We have there you go. We have 265.
Well, we need 600, Jack. We're not there yet.
Yeah, well, now we only need 335.
I think all the horrors can go. All the pink horrors.
What?
I know. We just wrote a list with horrors, right? But this isn't a list with horrors. This is a list with 3 burning chariots, 3 brigands, 3 soul grinders, and a Lord of Change, and that is a lot of beef.
It sure is. Okay, we will end up with some amount of points left after this.
I know how to spend them, don't you worry.
There we go. We have 85 points left.
85.
It's not quite 90.
Let's put those soul grinders. I want to visualize my grinders. So this is the thing with this.
I'll go ahead and put everything that isn't a vehicle all the way on the left side of the screen.
That's most things.
Yeah.
We only have 6 vehicles.
We have none.
Those burning chariots aren't vehicles.
They're chariots?
They're not bringing down points. That's important.
I don't know why I ported 3 over. There we go.
Because we're basically going to give up 22 points on Bring It Down, which is kind of max Bring It Down, but
It's also hard to get.
It's hard to get that many Bring It Downs. So I'm not too concerned about that, but I'm not thrilled about adding more. I really want to add more durable things that require similar profiles to these things to kill.
Okay, well, we have 85 points left. Wait, why don't you...
Seeker chariots, Jack. They're fast. They are Similarly tough to kill, and they don't give it bring it downs, and they do the mission stuff that this army sorely lacks.
Okay, all right. Love it. Love it.
Now, I wouldn't recommend playing this on a super ruin heavy table like WTC. That's where I'd probably lean more into horrors and infantry. But if we're gonna take 3 Bacons and 3 Soul Grinders, like, let's take it.
Yeah. Okay, so do we need 3 burning chariots? And the answer can be yes.
They're good. They're definitely good. I'm not married to 3. I think 2 is good enough. 3 is just nice, though.
3 is nice. So if we need to cut it, we can. We have 85 points left. So we can get one. We can get 1 Seeker Chariot, which leaves us with 10.
So if we cut 1 Burning Chariot and 1 Nurgling, we can just get 3 Seeker Chariots if we want. And that's fast MSU mission play that isn't committing Soul Grinders and Brigands who are trying more to get to objectives at their own pace and get angles to shoot people and get in combat with people at their own pace.
So it's just fast, holds objectives, does actions, plays the game of 40k.
Right. I'd probably cut 1 Secret Chariot action and turn it into Flesh Hounds just to have something that can move through walls. I think
That is,
moving through walls can't be neglected. Doesn't have to be prioritized.
but you can't not have it.
Yeah, you gotta be able to interact.
Because Nurglings can't go through walls either.
No, like literally not a single model in this army can. I don't even think Scribes is infantry. So
I think he's mounted, yeah.
I think they're 70.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think we're at 1995 with that.
Well, that would make sense because the chariot just barely fit.
Yeah. So we have, let me just put this in real fast. 1, 2 Seeker Chariots, 5 Flesh Hounds, and so going through the list, we have Lord of Change with Everstave, Blue Scribes, 3 units of Nurglings, 2 Burning Chariots, 5 Flesh Hounds, 2 Seeker Chariots, 3 Soul Grinders, 3 Brigands, 1985.
1985.
85.
So
you could turn the Blue Scribes into a Seeker Chariot. I don't know if that's a good idea. Probably isn't.
I've got a better idea.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to find 5 points from ideas, so we're gonna turn a second Secret Chariot into more Flesh Hounds, just because I think we do need that mission skirmish garbage.
I like Flesh Hounds generally.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 20 points left. What are you going to do with it?
We're gonna cut 1 Brigand, and I know that's so painful, but this also reduces our bring it down cost. Just bear with me, bear with me, bear with me, bear with me.
Okay.
We're gonna cut a Brigand. We can always put it back. Copy paste is easy. And we're gonna put in 3 solo Flux Masters.
I thought for a second you were saying Soul Grinder.
3 more Soul Grinders. No, the reason I like the solo Flux Masters is because they also help with that cheap mission play skirmish stuff. We're at the point where we could deny assassinate very effectively with 3 Flux Masters, Scribes, and Lord of Change if my opponent actually says I'm going to take assassinate. Bring it down is a little less attractive. And the Brigands and Soul Grinders, there is going to be, and the Burning Chariots and the Lord of Change, you're going to be fighting for space with yourself. So I don't think losing one of the base sizes there is going to be that painful, because probably one of them is just like awkward and not able to be placed well anyway.
Can I request something?
You can.
What if we did a Burning Chariot in 2 instead of a Brigand in 3?
A Burning Chariot in 2 instead of a Brigand in 3. I will accept. Well, I don't want to go to 1 Burning Chariot. The Ignores cover is nice.
Ignores cover is nice, but Brigands shoot so hard, man.
They shoot so hard. I'll accept. They're also OC8. I'll accept that change.
Yeah, they are OC a whole heck of a lot.
Okay.
So we lose 1 Burning Chariot. We have 2 units of Flesh Hounds.
This also makes Assassinate a little less painful, should someone go that route.
Yes.
But I think you can realistically
Just go
just
over
decide
here,
to hide
grab
Flux
it.
Masters. If your opponent really commits to killing Flux Masters. And if they don't, I'm telling you, the Flux Masters solo have done good work for me, just damaging people
All
and
right.
being screens.
Let me make this a little prettier.
Yeah, I might still twiddle with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got.
We have 2 one-ofs, and that's kind of hurting my brain.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bud.
It's okay. I like one-ofs. They're cute and effective, but this is also a stat checklist. So, like, what are we
I
one-ofing?
will find out how many points we have left at the end of this, if any.
Mm-hmm.
So we have.
maybe we
we'll,
can-
we'll put one of over here. There we go. That looks a little.
This is pretty. Look at that.
That is nice. All right. So we've got Trips Brig,
Triple Brigands.
Solo Chariot,
Yep.
and then we've got Double Flux Master.
Yeah.
And we do actually have points.
I'm not
We have
surprised.
15.
15. So I'm curious. I want to get that second Burning Chariot back, and if it means cutting the Secret Chariot into it, that's kind of what I was looking for. But I don't know that it's that
And
simple.
Nurglings plus Seeker is burning.
Yeah, I don't love that. But I do kind of love Nurglings plus Fleshhound is burning.
Okay.
Yeah. 'Cause
Bink, bink. Mm-hmm. Bada bink.
bada bink.
And we still end up with, you know, the full shooting package, basically, that you started with.
Yeah.
If you're playing demons, pick up soul grinders, apparently.
Pick up soul.
Although, actually, wait for the data slaying.
I like this. We have a turn 1, go through walls, get area denial, do a cleanse type of unit in the form of Fleshhounds. We have Nurglings to do Nurgling stuff. The Secret Chariot also does that. I found that I really have enjoyed the 1 Fleshhound, 1 Chariot. I've used that in my list myself.
This is 1995.
Double Burning Chariots, triple Soul Grinder. I really like this, Jack.
Sweet. All right. Well, that's a good place to end our Fix My List for this week. I think we have 3 really interesting armies here.
Yeah.
And if you're playing demons, soul grinders are an undiscovered gem.
Undiscovered gem, yeah. I've Star 2000. I hope you enjoy your list. I know we cut a lot of the horrors, but if you're leaning into the shooting, you really want to just pour that damage on.
And also, if you really want the horrors, there's that list.
There's this list.
There's this list right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go whichever direction you want. If you want to go more board control, like scoring points version, this is kind of a version that does that. And if you would like to beat your opponent down with a mech demon list that they weren't really expecting.
No one's expecting the mech demons.
Nobody's expecting mech demons, and here you go.
You could go further. You could cut
What?
more and get a third burning tree. No, we're done. We're done. I have to stop.
I mean, you have 5 points left.
I know.
So if you cut a Secret Chariot in a Nurgling squad, you would get a third Burning Chariot. I don't think that's better.
I don't think that's better either. But thanks for thinking about
But
it.
what about the double Flux Master, and they become a Burning Chariot?
I think 2 Flux Masters is better than third burning chariot.
Okay.
That's kind of where we start. That's very side grady though. You could go either way. I just like having 2 little skirmishy things that do some dead wounds because it's reliable damage. Sometimes demon shooting can be very. Oops, they passed their saves. Just here's some dead wounds.
Yep, you're taking at least D3 damage off this.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fix My List. We really did fix them chaos lists. I think all 3 of them got substantially better, and I'm very happy with them. I've Star and our other
I've Star, Rent a Patriot, and
Rig Stud Army Carney. I hope you all enjoyed your wonderful lists.
Right.
If you watch this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us continue producing this kind of content. Like the video, leave a comment, and maybe get in that Discord server with that 3-day free trial of the Warhammer. In the link below, you'll get to submit your own list for future Fix My List episodes.
all right, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.